Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
I'm Cindy.
And in studio with us we have Harrison. Harrison, if somebody needed to contact us, what would they need to do?
For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Everywhere else, 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@kern.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net. And on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Nicely done.
Thanks.
You have all of that social media stuff? You do Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube? You do all that?
I only do YouTube.
You only do YouTube? You know what? That's probably the only thing I do too, I think. I mean, I know for the show we have all of that stuff, but I personally don't. That's just a lot of stuff to do, isn't it? Where do you go to school and what grade are you in?
I am in 4th grade and I go to Stockdale Elementary.
All right, so you're in 4th grade. How's 4th grade going?
It's pretty good. The math so far is easy.
The math is easy. What kind of things have you been doing in math?
Well, like adding fractions. Now we're doing like converting improper fractions into mixed numbers.
Okay. And what have you been doing before? Like what was pretty easy at the beginning of the year? Because you're doing that fraction work now. So what were you doing before? Do you remember any of the stuff you were doing before?
Multiplying like 2-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers.
And probably dividing those numbers also, dividing and things like that. So you're pretty comfortable with everything you've been working on?
Yeah.
All right, good. So we'll have you work with some things that you haven't done yet so that when you do get to them in class, you might be a little ready for them. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we do any of that, just a reminder, if you phone in today and we do one of your math problems on air, you will automatically receive a pass to Holiday Lights at Com. So that is today and then only 2 days of next week the 13th and 14th. So you've only got 3 days that you can phone in to do the math and win yourself a pass to Holiday Lights at Com. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. Time now for today's Math in the News. Well, today's Math in the News, it's almost as if the holidays got here early for me because we have met Mike McCarthy a few times on the program. However, it's always been over Skype. And now you're actually here. And it's been a few years since you were actually in Bakersfield as a student, because you were a student at CSUB. And how long ago was that? That's where we first met.
2011 was my last year.
Okay, so over a decade ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So from CSUB, you were drafted by the Boston Red Sox.
I was.
Yeah,
that's right.
It doesn't even come out of my mouth right because I don't like to say that kind of stuff. So you were with the Sox, and you were in their farm system, and you did pretty well in that farm system.
Yeah, I made it to AAA.
Which is a whole lot more than a lot of people ever do.
Yeah, it was a good experience. Offered me the opportunity to travel the nation, to play all over the East Coast, and to actually play internationally as well. So I got to go to Australia in the off season and play there. So I really feel fortunate for the experience.
Good. So that experience then led you into coaching.
Somewhat. I was still trying to play.
Okay.
And then they told me, hey, you're still not good enough to play with us. So I had put my resume out there and, looking to play, but also knew that I was undergraduate degree in biology, hoping to become a doctor. And I was working on my master's degree while I was playing. Okay. And so teams were interested in that. Analytics came about. And there's a lot of mathematics and biomechanics, understanding how the body moves, how we can use data on the field, and it was an easy transition from that standpoint.
Good. So the first time we did a Skype was how many years ago? I mean, because we've done a few of them now.
Is 2, maybe 3 years ago.
Okay.
Right in there, yeah.
And at that point, we were talking about, I think the last time was the substances was a big thing in baseball on the balls and stuff like that.
Right.
And I know that you talked a little bit about the different types of pitches, how they're gripped, how they move, speeds and things like that, how it's affected air movement around it and things like that. Where are you now as far as your career in baseball?
So I just got back from Japan. I was helping coach over
I
there.
remember you were there
a
pretty
couple weeks ago.
briefly though.
Yeah, for about 3
I
weeks.
remember when you gave me the call saying you're going to Japan and then you're back pretty soon.
Yeah, I called you actually in the airport. I ended up seeing my parents before I left. And I have been with the San Diego Padres the last year. Went to Japan on a coach exchange program to work with Hideo Nomo and some players there. And while I was there, I actually interviewed to become the Oakland A's bullpen coach.
So that happened over there?
It did.
Okay.
Time zones and everything, that's a lot of math.
So when they're interviewing you as a pitching coach, what kinds of things did they ask you that may have thrown you off a little bit, but you think actually helped you land this position?
The big thing is about culture, right? I think people know that I know analytics and mathematics, biomechanics. That's evident in how I talk, the interviews I've done, maybe on websites or in interviews with podcasts. But then also they can see it on the field. They see us using the data and how our performance has improved. They want to know if the culture fits. Do you fit with the people, the coaching staff, the players? Do we feel like it's a good fit in the organization? And that's the main thing that they were most interested in. And,
now, when you did your interview, did you also say, I've done these Skype calls with Do the Math? And, they were like, well, that's all you needed to say right there. Welcome aboard.
As soon as I mentioned the name Mike Kushine, they of course.
All right. So when do you need to report to the Oakland Athletics for this upcoming season?
So we'll be doing a lot of stuff through the computer, over Skype and Zoom and things of that nature. Officially, I'll get down there probably sometime in January.
Okay.
And then spring training will start February 14th. I believe pitchers and catchers are reporting this year.
All right, good. So a couple of things are going on with baseball. Obviously, the biggest news of the day is Aaron Judge signing for $360 million.
We were all talking about it just now, the whole room,
and,
before we walked up there.
You were with San Diego, and San Diego just made a pitch to try to get him. But I think he wanted to be a Yankee overall, I think.
Your
because
bias
I think
isn't
they
coming
offered
out
him
at
a little
all.
bit of money right there. So I'm very excited that you're here because baseball is in the news today. One of the big things that's going to happen, is it definitely happening this year in major leagues where there's going to be a clock for the guys on the mound?
Yeah.
So I know it's been used in minor league and college.
Right.
So how long is that clock? And is it when he receives the ball, when he hits the rubber? How does that all work?
Right. There are a lot of smaller details in how it works, but it's going to be a 30-second clock in between hitters. And then in between pitches is 15 seconds with nobody on base and 20 seconds with a runner on base. And the batter has to be into the box by 8 seconds. And so these are new ways, similar to a shot clock when it first came out in basketball. We now have a shot clock in baseball.
Okay.
And so it's meant to help speed the game up, create more action, put balls in play more often, steal more bases, things of that nature. So.
Because I think even the bases, they're talking about making second base bigger.
Yeah, every base, first, second, and third, are all going to go from 15 inches to 18 inches. So we add about 3 inches in total, and then you're going to end up with about, I believe they said it'd be about 4 inches, 4.5 inches in between from base to base, which should cut down or improve the steal times for a runner, but also avoid more collisions. So it's injury prevention with performance.
Right, so you don't want people getting injured, but then you've also got guys that used to steal bases a lot and have these records going, hey, my record's going to be broken now because the bases are bigger and there's less distance, things like that.
Yeah.
That'll take care of itself in the meantime. But how do you now work with your staff with this clock now in play this year? How will things be different?
Right. So in my role in general, I'm going to work as a pitching coach or the assistant pitching coach and bullpen coach. So I'll help mainly with the relievers and prepping guys who are going in the game, where we're at, and who we're going to be facing in that part of the lineup. With the adaptation of this, if you have a guy like Trey Turner who's really fast on first base, or maybe he's coming up and we're going to be bringing a reliever in the game, he has to know this guy's really fast, he's going to try to steal bases, and he may need to be a little bit quicker to the plate. in terms of his delivery time. So when he breaks his set and delivers the ball, so now the catcher has a chance to throw him out. So we're going to use that base size a little more. We're also going to use things like the field. So I can show you here on the board if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if we look here on the board, and in the past what we've been able to do is if this is the field and the base is here, like that, we've been able to put as many fielders as we want and anywhere we want. Now, traditionally there's 4 infielders and 3 outfielders. So we've been able to take maybe 3 infielders and put them like this and stack this side for a left-handed hitter. So this left-handed hitter, we say, hey, he hits 75% of his ground balls go to the right side. So we're going to naturally put 3/4 of our infielders on that side, right? And one guy's still going to be over here. That's no longer a viable option. So now what we have to be able to do is do this. They're limiting 2 guys per side. So you can imagine there's an imaginary line here, and you have to keep 2 guys on each side, and they have to be on the dirt. They cannot be in the outfield anymore. So we've been able to put a guy in the outfield. So now they have to be on the dirt, and 2 guys have to remain on each side of that dotted line. And so that's creating a change in how we shift players. So if we know that 3/4 of his ground balls go this side, but we can only put 2 or 1/2 of our infielders, that's an advantage to the hitter and less to the pitcher.
And
so
hopefully you can get one of the other guys close to second base, close to that line,
right,
so that he can
yeah,
move.
so we'll be trying to maximize and maybe stretch him right into this area as close as possible,
right,
by putting him there and putting another infielder here and here. But they do have to be on that dirt, so they can no longer be in that outfield grass anymore, and they do have to be splitting that infield in half.
All right. Well, it sounds like a lot of things going on, and you got to have a very busy season coming up.
Amen to that.
So the season starts April, usually is when
Yeah.
baseball season starts. You're with the Oakland Athletics, and if I'm not mistaken, in that field in Oakland, at that field, in the Coliseum, I think it's still called the Coliseum,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
If somebody from Bakersfield wanted to go up to Oakland and view a game, and they sat on the Oakland A side in the outfield, I think you guys are on the third base side,
We are.
the
Yep.
dugout,
Yeah.
you could be a baseball's throw away from Mike because the bullpens are on the field.
They are. Yeah.
So Harrison, if you go up to Oakland sometime and you're like, hey, Mike, he's going to be right there. Because I know a lot of
That's
bullpens,
right.
you guys are behind the walls and things like that,
Yeah.
so you guys will be very accessible to fans. But we do wish you all the luck, and we do appreciate you taking some time to come visit us today.
Thank you very much. It's
All
good
right.
to be here.
That's Mike McCarthy, and that is today's Math in the News. 636-4357 is the phone number. I spoke about holiday lights. Let's take a look at them right now.
Today we're at the California Living Museum, and we are in front of the wonderful Wildlife Care Clinic, and I am with Megan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Can you share with everybody what your title here at CALM is?
I am the director of CALM.
And how long have you been the director?
I came on to CALM of May of 2020.
And we are in front of a beautiful new building. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, so this building has been several years in the making. So you are standing in front of the wonderful Wildlife Care Clinic. We have partnered with UC Davis, the Oiled Wildlife Care Network, and the wonderful company to bring on site a wild animal hospital for our veterinary clinic, as well as a response area if there were to be an oil spill inland. And then it also is part of our wildlife rehabilitation program as well.
What was behind bringing this to CALM?
The need to have an on-site veterinary area. So we hired a full-time veterinarian as well as a registered veterinary technician, and they needed space to be able to spread out. As you know, we have bear and mountain lion here, and when they need medical care, we have to have somewhere on-site for them to go. So now we have, when you come in to do the tour, you'll see we have a whole hospital set up to be able to take on the animals we have here at CALM, as well as any wildlife that needs our help.
Okay, so you're going to give us a tour, correct?
I am, yes ma'am.
Okay, let's go inside. Okay, so we're inside the building, and can kind of tell us what all of these rooms are for.
Absolutely. So we have several different rooms inside of this building. We're going to be popping into here is one of our quarantine spaces for animals that come in as a quiet space for them to heal and recover, whether they are coming back into our collection or if we have on the other side we have wildlife that will be going back out into the wild.
Okay, so going into here then, that's where they're kind of a recovery room, correct, like you said? And I noticed there's a fan going on. Kind of tell us something about that.
Yes, ma'am. So in each of our rooms, we have specialized air filters to make sure that we're not transmitting any diseases or pulling out any bacteria that we need. But this building was designed with that in mind to make sure that we are having as much biosecurity as possible for the animals in our collection.
So it has its own flow in here.
Yes, ma'am.
And then will there eventually be tables or things in here for the animals?
Yes, you'll see as we kind of finish up our tour, we've got several kennels that are going to be installed here. They're just in the making right now.
Okay, so going on, there's more rooms to see.
Perfect. So if you head over here, this is our surgery suite. This is where we will be doing all of our on-site surgeries. So we have hired a full-time veterinarian and a full-time registered veterinary technician who take care of all of our animals on site. So if we have, whether it be regular medication, which you'll learn more about later, or larger things like surgeries, ultrasounds, all of that will be done out of this building.
Obviously you have the large, lights
Yes.
already installed. So obviously we need the tables still in here. Will there also be kennels in this room as well?
No, this room is only our surgery table. This is meant to be completely sterile. So we have our surgery table and then a couple of things that are kept in a cabinet, but the process to come in here is extensive to get cleaned up, geared up, all of those things. So minimal surfaces, the better.
So I'm noticing the doors right here because next door as well, and then looking down the hallway. These are quite large. The opening is quite large. Is there a reason behind that?
So these are specialty designs so that we would be able to bring in our larger animals. So we have bear, we have mountain lion, we have our bighorn sheep. Once they are anesthetized, they are brought into this building, but they have to be able to fit through the doors. So you'll notice that all the doors in here are extra large.
And is it as well as the hallway so you can wheel?
Yep, wheel things in, gurney animals when it's needed. But yeah, everything is meant to be able to get the animals as well as a team around the animals through the doors.
Okay. So there's more?
There is
across
more.
the hallway?
Let's go.
Okay, let's go across the hallway.
All right, so in here we have our treatment room. You asked me about kennels earlier. As you can see, we have those out. They have to be installed. We had that little bit of rain and they were outside and we had to bring them inside quickly to make sure they didn't rust. So,
And looking at all of them, I do notice all the different size
Yes.
kennels that you have, obviously for the different size animals.
what's great about these two is they are interchangeable. So if we need to make some of them larger, we can, or smaller, or things like that. We were able to purchase those to fit the needs of the zoo.
So kind of tell us over here what this table is for, because I know that we just came from the surgery room, correct? So what is this table?
So we refer to this guy as a wet table. We have two of them permanently installed. And then if in the case of an oil spill, the Oiled Wildlife Care Network, or OWCN, will bring in their own wet tables down this way. They'll be able to set them up. But essentially, this table is used for several different things. If we were to have an oiled bird or something like that, we wash them here. All of our team has gone through training to be able to do that. There's a lot of series of steps and things you need to do to care for oiled birds and oiled wildlife. But everything is washed here, specialized, and then our drains were actually specialized as well to be able to take that oil and make sure it doesn't go where it's not supposed to. So if you can kind of see it, but down there in the very far end, there is something that has a little red light on it.
Yes.
All of our water that's being used for oil gets sent to a special pump. When that pump is full, that alarm goes off and says, hey, we need to get this taken care of so that there is no biohazards from oil put into the environment.
So we are next going to visit with a registered vet tech, correct,
Yes,
Brian?
ma'am.
And so that's where we're heading next, and we'll see you back in a minute.
And that beautiful spot is COM, and that is where Holiday Lights at COM is happening this year. This, once again, is a drive-through exhibit that you can see Holiday Lights at COM. All you have to do is give us a call, and you win yourself a pass. As a matter of fact, we're going to go to our first phone caller right now. Emmett, how are you this afternoon?
Good.
And what grade are you in?
5th grade.
All right, as soon as you're ready, let's hear the math problem that you're working on.
So my math problem is 14 minus parentheses 2 times 8 plus 2 end parentheses divided by parentheses 63 divided by 7 end parentheses.
So 63
Equals.
divided by 7 is in parentheses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then it has an equal sign at the end, or are you just evaluating this?
It has an equal sign at the end.
Oh, so you just need to come up with what it equals.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if there was something else on the other side. You had variables going in here, but anyway, Cindy's all ready to help you out.
All
So
right.
I just want to make sure I wrote it right. 14 minus, open parentheses, 2 times 8 plus 2, close parentheses, divided by, open parentheses, 63 divided by 7, close parentheses.
Yes.
Okay. So order of operations is what this is all about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me what you know about the order of operations.
So I know it's PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction.
Okay, so you know that when they say parentheses, they want you to do your grouping symbols first.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 2 of them here. So let's go ahead and we'll start with the first parenthesis grouping symbol. So inside there, you have 2 times 8 plus 2. So you still want to think of your order of operations. So should you do the multiplication or the addition first?
Multiplication,
Okay, so what are you going to get for 2 times 8?
16.
Okay. And then since we still have another number in that parenthesis, go ahead and finish off what the inside will equal. So 16 plus 2.
18.
Yeah, let me bring all this down. Okay, so we know that's going to be 18. Whoops. Okay. So now we have 14 minus 18 divided by, open parentheses, 63 divided by 7.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to go ahead and do our next set of the grouping symbols, the parentheses. So what are you going to get for the other parentheses?
9.
Okay, for 63 divided by 7. And then we still have the 14, subtract the 18, the division symbol, and then the 9. So now you've gone ahead and you've gotten rid of all your grouping symbols. So what's left now is a subtraction and a division. So which one, subtraction or division? Yeah, I don't think you can hear me.
No, are you still there, Emmett? He may have gotten cut off or maybe can't hear, so let's
Yeah,
go
his
and
phone
just
might have
solve
cut
the
out.
problem now.
So we go ahead and finish with 18 divided by 9. We get 2, since division comes before subtraction. And then our last step would be 14 minus 2, which equals 12.
So Harrison, hopefully you're still able to view the program and you see that how that has worked out, and you've got 12 right there. Emmett, who did I say? Harrison. Harrison's sitting right next to me. Okay. Well, Harrison, you see how that works out also, right? All right, good. So see, my bases are covered right there. So Emmett, hopefully you saw that. It makes sense to you. And for calling in today, you've got yourself a pass to Holiday Lights at Com. So hopefully you and your family can enjoy that. Nicely done by calling in. All right, Cindy, erase the board. We have a problem for you to work on. And this one is for Kathy. So I'm just going to let you take the problem right there. And Kathy was getting in contact with Do the Math and said, hey, there's a couple of these problems I'm working on, and can we do one of these on TV? So we're going to do the problem right now for you. And hopefully, Kathy, you're viewing this right now, and you can take a look at this. If not, hopefully you can check it out on YouTube later on, and that will help you out. So what do you think about that last problem? That order of operations, did that look like something you might be able to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do one of those? Oh, good. Well, what about this one right here? What do you think about this one?
No.
No? Why not?
Haven't learned like
Do you know about the squared?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have you help because I bet you could do it once you know what to do with it.
Yeah, get over there and
Okay.
help out.
All
There
right.
you go.
So basically, we got, these are called functions, and it tells us the value of this function equals 4x minus 3. G of x is 2x squared plus 5. Since this only has the g, we really don't need to worry about this one right now. So that's off of there, so we're not confused by it. So when they say g and then parentheses 2, what they're really saying is that you're replacing the x with the number 2 in that expression, okay? So this right here, we're gonna go 2. Do you happen to know, do you know what that means when it's up against there?
Yeah.
Like math operation wise?
It's 2 squared, right?
Well, the x is being squared, which will be 2 squared. Do you know what 2 next to x means?
No.
Okay, so that means 2 times the value of x. So there's really like a multiplication symbol right here. Do you know the dot multiplication yet?
No.
Okay, then I'm going to put a little x. And then we're going to put that number in place of the x there. So we're going to put 2 squared plus 5. And then this extra minus 5 will be back here. So this part represents plugging in the 2 to that.
Okay.
So now it looks easier, right? Now it's not like, what in the world is all this stuff, right? So now it's kind of order of operations like we were just talking about with the phone call. And so in order of operations, if there's any grouping symbols like parentheses, you check and you do that first. But so we don't have that here. Then you do exponents, which is what this thing's called.
Okay.
So do you know what 2 squared is?
It's 4.
Yeah, and how'd you get that?
Well, because 2 squared is 2 times 2.
Yeah, exactly. So this part becomes 4. So we still have 2 times our answer, and then plus 5 minus 5. So in order of operations, after you do exponents, you do multiplying or dividing. So since we have this multiplication, that's going to be our next step. So we're going to go ahead and solve 2 times 4.
And 2 times 4 is 8.
And then we still have this stuff, plus 5 minus 5.
And plus 5 is 13.
So we just go left to right now. And then minus 5 after we do that is 13, and you get
8.
Yeah.
Nicely done. So hopefully, Kathy, that helps you out. You
That
saw
looks
that problem
confusing,
right there.
but that's less
Helped
confusing,
along
right? Plug it in there.
Harrison right there. So Harrison, stay at the board. You guys clear that board, and now let's get to some of the problems that you're going to be coming up with in your classroom soon. So you're going to be working with decimals, you said, soon. So we just went ahead in your math workbook, and I just picked out one of the first pages that you're going to be doing as far as comparing decimals. Okay? So first of all, what Cindy is going to do is talk to you, first of all, about what a decimal is and what it means. Okay? Because do you think a decimal is the same as a whole number?
No.
All right, so you two have a little discussion about that. Talk about that for a moment, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so let's start with where you see decimals in real life. Can you think of a place? So think of money, right? If you had $2.50, you would have a decimal in there, right? 2.50.
Yeah.
So that decimal part, is that above a whole dollar or below a whole dollar?
Below.
Yeah, so the decimal part of a problem, so I didn't put the $2, but I'm just going to put something else. Say it's like that. This represents less than 1. It's a part of something. So it's very similar to fractions. You guys were working on fractions in your class, you said,
Yeah.
right? And so you're a little bit familiar with parts of 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you learned anything about the decimals yet?
No.
Okay, so you've learned probably your place value for whole numbers, like the ones place, the tens place, the hundreds place, right? And the thousands place. So when you go to the right of your decimal point, this first digit is called your tenths.
And then isn't it the hundredths?
Yeah. So that one's your hundredths. I can't fit it right next to it, so.
Yeah,
So
we'll
notice-
just go that far today. We
Okay.
won't keep going any farther than that.
So you end with the THS, right? Okay, so now you're going to be comparing. So give me a problem to compare.
Okay, so let's go ahead and look at his book. We have 0.94 is compared to 0.9.
So we're figuring out what to put there. 0.9.
So you need to find out if one side is greater or if they're equal.
Okay. So go ahead, what are you thinking?
I'm pretty sure that if there's no zeros, it is tenths.
Mhm.
And so that is 90 or, yeah, 90.
So you're thinking 90 to make it have the same amount of digits?
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking? Okay, I like where you're going with that. Right now it's 9/10, and this is hundredths, right? So we kind of want to make them have the same value.
Yeah.
So you're thinking if we put a 0 on there,
It would,
it would be
pretty easy.
hundreds also? Okay.
Yeah.
So then you can write, so what do you think now? How would you think you
So
should compare
then
them?
it's pretty much, you just cover that up, and then it's just 94 compared to 90, and 94 is greater, so
Yeah, because you have 94 hundredths and then you have 90 hundredths. 94 hundredths is a larger value than 90 hundredths. Yeah, exactly. All right.
All right. Let's do one more.
Okay.
Okay. So I mean, you got a little bit of the hang of it, right? So we have 0 and 45 hundredths.
Okay. So 0 and 45 hundredths, and is the decimal.
Compared to, oh, okay.
Okay. And then we're going to go.
Compared to 0 and 28 hundredths.
All right.
And then it's kind of like the other one you just do, covered those up, and then it's 45 compared to 28, and 45 is greater, so.
So 45 hundredths is greater than 28 hundredths.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. So this is just the start, but at least you got the hang of it. You feel pretty good about this, right? So you can compare decimals pretty easily right there. So that's simply the beginning of all of this. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 for some great work so far today, Harrison. You've got yourself a meal, courtesy of our friends at Grillenberger. So congratulations on that. And you know what? We do have another opportunity. We're going to go back out to Com, visit with Marylou, and see what's going on.
We are back at the California Living Museum, and I am with Megan and Brian.
Yeah.
Brian, can you kind of let everybody know what your title is here at COM?
Yeah, I'm the registered veterinary technician here. It's basically the animal version of a nurse. I'm in charge of taking care of all the animals here at COM medically, along with Dr. Helis, our veterinarian.
And what part of COM are we in right now?
We're in the children's zoo, so surrounded by our goat, sheep, some of our donkeys,
And
lots of
friend
cool
that's
animals.
behind
That's
us.
Miss Ivy. Miss Clover is a little bit more shy behind Ivy, and then Napoleon's all the way in the back just waiting for some kind of a treat.
So part of your job is to administer the medications, correct?
Yeah, well, keepers, the zookeepers do a lot of the medication administering. What I do specifically is help, along with the veterinarian, help to determine what kind of medications our animals need to be on, and then dispensing them for our keepers to give.
And Napoleon back here,
Yeah.
he is on medication,
Yeah,
correct?
so he's a really, really old man. So he's on some medication for some sore joints. He has some arthritis, pretty typical for old goats. So he's on basically a goat version of Tylenol or ibuprofen. So that's what we give for him.
And then how did you determine his medication, how much he gets?
Yeah, so we use math a lot in veterinary medicine. So a lot of medications are prescribed based on weight in kilograms, but a lot of times when we weigh animals, we weigh them in pounds. So we have to convert that pound weight into kilogram weight, and then there's a lot of really confusing calculations that go into figuring out what his dose is based on how strong the medication is, and then calculating that compared to what his weight is to figure out how much he gets.
So so you say he's kind of like on Tylenol, right?
Yeah.
What is his dosage that he will
Yeah,
get?
so he gets 45 milligrams of a medication called meloxicam. And then the meloxicam comes in 15 milligram tablets. So we have to give him 3 tablets to get to that 45 milligram dose.
So a lot of the conversions, like you're saying, you have to deal with mathematics or converting.
Right.
And then just simple multiplication
yeah.
and all that. So if with the bird sanctuary and all that, because the birds don't weigh as much, correct?
No, yeah.
How is that different with calculating
Yeah, so
medication?
we use a lot of the same medications in birds that we use in mammals, but obviously the doses are much, much smaller. A lot of times birds are weighed in grams, so we have to convert grams into kilograms so we can make that calculation. And it's just usually just a much smaller dose. So instead of using big tablets, a lot of times we'll use liquid, so we'll be giving milliliters of a medication.
So more like a drop.
Yep.
For them. So how do you administer the medicine?
So he's actually pretty easy to medicate. He's being a little bit shy right now because I'm the vet team, part of the vet team, and sometimes when we come, we do exams and draw blood. So sometimes he's a little bit shy about me being here, but usually to get him to take medications, we just put the pill in a handful of the treats that you're giving him right now, and he just eats it and doesn't even realize that he's taking it.
Ah. So how many times a day does he get that medicine?
He gets it once a day.
Once a day.
Yeah.
And has he already had his meds for
Yes,
today?
he's already had his medicine today, but like I said, he takes it really, really easy. So I would just put a pill in my hand there with the treats that he's getting, and he just laps it up. He doesn't even realize he's taking the medication.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that information with us today. And Napoleon, it was really good to meet you. And that's it from the petting area, but we have more to come.
And just a fabulous facility that we have here in Kern County and in Bakersfield. COM, a wonderful zoo, and can learn an awful lot. And as I said, you do have plenty of opportunities to go out during the time, visit the entire grounds and all of the different animals, and then perhaps go at night and check out the holiday lights at COM. In studio with us right now is Tim Collins. Tim, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Mike?
I'm excellent, and I know that we've been working on getting you on the program for a couple of months, and we finally were able to get all of our schedules together and have you come in today. Now, it's funny because as we were just talking, I didn't know this, you work at ROC and CTEC.
I do, yes.
And what is your official role there?
So I am the instructor for the Ag Diesel Mechanics program at ROC.
Okay. And so you work with the big machines?
I do. So our program tries to focus on diesel equipment, which is usually the bigger stuff, and more on the off-road, so farming, construction, all that kind of stuff.
So what are we looking at here?
So this is actually some of the equipment that we were working on last year in our shop, trying to take some parts off of it that we could use to make some demonstration things to learn hydraulics and electrical this year. So we're.
And how long are the students in this program?
It's a one-year program, and they're there for 3 hours every school day. So it's half their year is at ROC in my class.
Okay, so they come from other schools?
They do. So they come from all over the Kern High School district and even farther away.
Okay, so you're in charge of this program. And how did you become involved in this program to even start?
Sure, it's a great question because I actually took this class as a senior in high school.
I think that is so awesome, right? You were an ROC student.
I was.
In high school. What high school did you go to?
Ridgeview High School.
Ridgeview High School. So you're at Ridgeview High School, you found the ROC program, you thought that would be interesting. So you did it. How was it different then as to what it is now?
So the technology has actually changed a little bit in the industry. From 11 years ago, that's when I was a senior, and took the class. I had Mr. Faubus as my teacher, was an excellent teacher there, taught for many years in that program. He came from John Deere and did a really good job with the kids and with everything in there. So the industry's gotten more technical, as everything else has. There's a lot more technology involved, so I try to get a little bit more into that than he did back then, because it wasn't even around back then. There's a lot more emissions regulations and equipment that's also new that we try to cover. So even in that short amount of time, in 11 years, the industry's actually changed quite a bit.
Well, technology, it seems like it used to be like, well, in a decade something new would come out, and then it would be like every 4 years something, and then every year. Now it seems like almost every month or every week something is coming out. So you went to ROC, and then you had an opportunity to work at an actual place. One of our other people that we were able to go out and film a lot, Quinn.
Yes, I
So
did.
talk about that a little bit.
So when I took the ROC class, Quinn came out and presented their diesel mechanics training program, their college program, and it was that program that got me into the industry. So they hired me, they sent me to school. I ended up working for them for a total of 6 years. If any of you saw the video that you guys did on the interview, all that equipment in the shop, that's what I was doing. And I was mostly out in the field too, so working on tractors all over Kern County.
I think this is awesome because you are the perfect example of what Quinn has been talking about, going to ROC, seeing those students, seeing how they're being trained, saying, now come to us, we will hire you and train you more and employ you, which is exactly what you did. And now you are back in that other position where you're working with the students and helping them get their careers going by working with them at ROC.
I am, yeah, and I just had 2 students from my last year's class that graduated high school, and they got hired into that same Quinn Think Big program that I did. So They're
That
11
is
years
so awesome, so
after
awesome.
me, and now they're doing what I did. Maybe they'll come back and teach the class someday.
There you go. Well, you know what? If they come back in another 11 years or something and you moved on, I don't think I'll still be here in 11 years, but maybe Harrison will be here and he can talk to whoever comes in then. So, Tim, I know that you're involved in the community a lot also. So what are some things that you do in the community outside of working with the high school students?
Sure. So I've lived in Bakersfield all my life. I love this, the city, and I like to be involved. And one part of that is I'm actually the chair of the Kern County Young Farmers and Ranchers. So I'm very involved in the ag community. I did FFA stuff in high school. And when I was working as a mechanic, I was out on a lot of farms fixing farm tractors. I like staying relevant with the industry. Just got back from our state Young Farmers Conference and got to see some of the new technology and machines that's coming out in the ag side too. So being involved there, doing community service there, somewhat involved with politics and serving the community as good as I can.
Like, where are you? Or I mean,
So this is our club working with the Edible Schoolyard. In one of our projects, we raised some money on their garden there. This was actually part of my political campaign running for city council.
Okay.
So I've been involved with the political scene a little bit here over the years as well, and I'm just trying to explore all the different ways I can serve the community here and give back to
Now,
what's
when you
been
see
given
the
to me.
new machinery and things like that, new technology coming out, how long do you think it will be before it's actually being used here in Kern County?
Well, some of the machines we are seeing that were top of the line are already used here in Kern County. So our agriculture scene is really top notch.
And this is probably the place where people want to use it first because this is, you know, considered basically the breadbasket of the United States and for a majority of the world also.
It is. California agriculture is super important. This whole San Joaquin Valley, the Salinas Valley where we were at, and I think a lot of people don't understand the importance of it and how we feed the country and even the whole world.
So let's say somebody like Harrison's in 4th grade and they're watching right now and they learn about ROC and they go, oh, that's pretty cool what you did. I think I might want to do something like that when I'm in high school. Is there a certain grade you have to be to participate in these programs?
Yeah, so ROC and CTEC, which are both great programs, a lot of really good programs and instructors out there. You have to be an upperclassman, so juniors and seniors is who we take because we want to get those students that are getting ready to graduate soon and we can start teaching them those kind of job and career skills. So, but there's a lot going up to that point that you can start on earlier, doing ag classes in high school, for example, ag mechanics and that sort of thing, or auto shop if your high school has it. That can really line you up well to come to ROC or CTEC.
Well, I know that ROC and CTEC has been a great partner of Do the Math for many, many years, and we certainly do appreciate all of the students that put your videos together and send them to us that we are able to show and showcase every week. But even better that I have you in studio to actually talk to you and talk about the videos. And for helping us out, we would like to just say a little thank you for helping us out here on Do the Math. And don't let Lisa or Brian, the principal at ROC, or, take the tile from you right there.
Thank you.
That is yours because you're in
Thank you
studio
very
with
much.
us, so we want to say thank you on behalf of Do the Math. All right, you ready to do some math? I'm only kidding. I'm not going to put you on the spot right now. We're going to go back to the phones. Caleb, how are you this afternoon? Hello, Caleb.
Hello.
As soon as you're ready, let's hear the math problem that you're working on.
Okay. 2, open parentheses, x plus 3, close parentheses, minus 5, open parentheses, x minus 1, close parentheses, equals 32.
Okay, so you're solving for the value of x?
Yes.
All right, so tell me what you know about the problem so far.
We're going to have to multiply the outside of the parentheses to get rid of the parentheses.
Okay, so distributive property is what that's called. So go ahead and tell me what you're going to get when you do 2 times x.
2x.
Okay, good. And then 2 times 3?
6.
So 2x plus 6. All right, and then we have to do the same thing with the 5. And when you distribute the 5, you're going to treat it like -5, right?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. So we're going to distribute -5 times x.
That's negative 5x.
Okay, good. And then what are we going to get for -5 and then -1?
5.
Okay, and so we're going to put plus 5 since we end up with a positive, and then equals 32. Okay, so now that we've distributed and gotten rid of the parentheses, and we have an algebraic expression, let's go ahead and simplify it. So do you remember how to simplify it? Have you learned that?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to combine our like terms, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 2x can combine with what?
Negative 5x.
All right, so what are you going to get when you bring them or put them together?
Negative 3x.
Okay, good. And then positive 6 combines with positive 5, so what are you going to get for that?
Don't forget to put your x up there. There you go. All right, thank you.
11.
All right, so negative 3x plus 11 equals 32. Okay, so we've simplified our problem down, so now we want to solve for the value of x. So tell me the steps that you've learned for it.
We want to isolate the x.
Okay, and so what would we start with to isolate the x?
We want to get rid of the 11, so minus 11 on both sides.
Okay. So whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other. All right, and then we get 0 for that part, which makes it just negative 3x. And then we do 32 minus 11. So we get 21. So what are we going to do next?
Divide both sides by negative 3.
Okay, so what are you going to get when you divide 21 by negative 3?
Negative 7.
All right, and then we get 1x, or just x, equals negative 7. And since that's the end, x equals negative 7.
And I know that Caleb probably knows how to check those, and we won't check it right now just because of time, but Caleb knows how to check those types of problems, I'm sure. So Caleb, thanks for the great phone call. You also have yourself a pass to Holiday Lights at Com, so congratulations on that. All right, Harrison, are you relaxed? You rested? All right, good. Get back to the board. Let's go. Let's take a look at one of the math problems in your book again. So this once again has to do with fractions, and let's take a look at the camera right now. Oh, we have a baseball card on top of that. This is Mike McCarthy's baseball card. He signed it. This is the last place he was at, where he was a pitching coach. Nice of Mike to do that. Member of the Chihuahuas right there. But I just thought it was funny because in your book, this is on the next page, and it says, Bob, Cal, and Pete each made a stack of baseball cards. I kid you not, that is the next page in your book. So here we go. Bob had 0.2 meters high. So maybe we'll just write B equals 0.2. All right. Cal, we'll just put C, was 0.24. And then Pete, I think that was the last one. Yeah, Pete is 0.18. And what they'd like you to do is write a number sentence that compares Cal's stack of cards to Pete's stack of cards.
So we're comparing that one to that.
So we're just comparing Cal and Pete.
Well, you do 1800s and 2400s, or you could just cover up the 0 and it's just 24 comparing to 8, so 24 is greater than 18.
So yes, let's go ahead and use the numbers they gave us in our number sentence though. There we go. So 2400s is greater than 1800s.
Good. Now, eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to need to compare all three numbers. So let's take a half a minute and compare all three numbers and make a sentence using that.
Can we maybe put them in order from like least to greatest or something
Yes,
like that?
yep.
Let's scoot it up a little bit for us. Okay, so let's put it in order from smallest to biggest, least to greatest.
So first I'm going to transfer the 2 into hundreds, so I'm just going to write a 0, and then there's 18 and 24.
So you made them all the same
So
place
first
value.
you would do 18 because it's the least, so 1800s is less than 2000s. And 2000s is less than 2400s.
Nice, and I like how you said them with their place value.
There you go, nicely done. I like how you used less than, and you were able to use proper vocabulary on all of that, using the hundredths place, and had no problem with that. So hopefully when you get to that in school, you'll be a little bit ahead right there. All right, nicely done. Hey, we do have phone tutors available until 5:30 most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. Right now, we will go back to the phones. Jackson, how are you this afternoon?
Good.
And you're in 4th grade, correct?
Yes.
All right, as soon as you're ready, let's hear the math problem that you're working on.
Okay. So I'm working on 4 and 3/8 and +1 and 5/8.
So you're going to add 1 and 5/8.
Yes.
All right, so
4
Harris,
and 3.
4 and 3/8, and then add 1 and 5/8. Correct?
Yes.
all right, so Jackson, you're going to work with Cindy on this, and we're going to have Harrison verify and make sure everything is cool. You ready for that? So you just watch and keep an eye on Cindy and Jackson.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, Jackson, so tell me what you know what to start with.
I know to start with 4 plus 1.
Okay. So 4 plus 1.
Is 5.
All right. Now what do we do with those fractions?
We add them.
Which part do we add? Do we add everything?
I think.
Okay, so tell me what you think it should end up as. So 5 plus 3, right, for the numerators.
Is 8.
Okay. Now do I
I
add
figured it out.
do I add the denominators?
No.
Okay, good. You just keep it what it is. All right, so now we have 5 and 8/8. Do you need to simplify your answer probably?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the value of 8/8?
It's 1 whole.
All right, so this 8/8 becomes 1 whole, and we also have 5 wholes. So we're going to add the whole numbers together, the 5 and the 1 that you get from the 8/8. So what are you going to get for this answer?
6.
Okay.
There you go, nicely done. And it sounded like once you saw it happening, you kind of got excited right there. And, oh, yeah, I got it. And suddenly saw that happen and knew it was going to be 6 because of the 8/8. So nicely done. Jackson, we will also be sending you a pass to go see Holiday Lights at Com as well. So congratulations on that. Hopefully you and your family have an opportunity to go see those millions and millions and millions and millions of lights. 636-4357 is the phone number. Harrison is a 4th grade student, and you are from Stockdale Elementary. And do you like going to school longer? Because you go to school longer now in 4th grade, don't you?
Yeah.
You like that? You all right with it?
Yeah.
How about if you, what do you think about going to school even longer than you do now? Would you be all right with that?
Yeah.
Oh,
More
good. Well, your
learning.
wish will come true in a couple of years when you go to school a little longer than that. All right, erase the board. Let's take another problem out of Harrison's book right now. And I'm going to give you guys about a minute to do this. So you know about money, correct, Harrison? All right, so here we go. So we're going to write this in money form. So we have 48 cents. So there's a proper way to write 48 cents. Yeah, I think maybe your hand is a little too close to the board. There you go. There's your dollar sign, I do believe. Good, so you've got 48 cents, and to that, they want you to add 30 cents.
So you don't, let's just erase the add right there since it's right here. Oh. So we're adding 48 cents to 30 cents.
And it's pretty much just 48 plus 30, which is 78.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can do that in your head, but now how do you write it? This is where the decimal part comes in.
As 78 hundredths.
And then
So
how
if
could we
you
label
turned
it
that,
so
yeah,
we
I
know
was
what
gonna
it
say, if you
is?
turned it in, it would be marked wrong, though.
Yeah, so how do you label the money value on it? How do we know it's money?
You do the
There we go.
There you go. Nicely done. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood that putting that dollar sign on there also helps. Hey, you know what? We have one last opportunity to go out and visit with Marylou and the folks at COM and see what's going on.
We are back here at COM and I'm with Megan. So Megan, we kind of really focused on the vet side today, and I know there's so many other things going on with COM because every time we come out, there's something new happening here. Can you kind of share with us what is going on?
Yeah, so COM is constantly growing, constantly expanding. We just finished a 15-year master plan that we will be revealing in the spring that goes into an expansion of our acreage here to bring in more guest services, more wildlife rehabilitation options, more animals, and become even more of a hub to the community out here as well.
And when you talk community, obviously there's volunteers, right? You can't do it without the volunteers.
We cannot do anything without volunteers.
So what can, if somebody was interested in volunteering and helping out here, what could they do?
So if you go to comzoo.org/volunteers, we have several different opportunities for volunteers. Whether you want to do, we call them COM cleanup volunteers. They can come out, help us do raking, help us do cleaning, help us just really make sure that COM stays beautiful, planting, all of those things. We also have animal care volunteers, which we host a class for, and you can come work alongside the keepers to learn about the ins and outs of working as a keeper and also help them out with cleaning and taking care of our animals.
And when are those classes? Are they normally during the week, weekends?
The animal class orientations are held quarterly. So we'll have a class on Thursdays and a class on Saturdays. They're held once a quarter. You don't have to come to a class to be a COM cleanup volunteer. You just have to bring yourself and a willingness to help out. And then we also have another opportunity for guest experience volunteers who come out and for like the weekends, our coast room is open for the docent and education pieces of volunteering, and so those classes are also held quarterly.
And besides volunteering, there's a lot of things going on at COM.
Yes.
And what are those things?
So as we already toured the OWCN the Wonderful Wildlife Care Clinic, the WWCC, is wrapping up, but we're still collecting funds for materials to be able to put in there. We are also have plenty of building projects going on. They're always looking for monetary funds to be able to get those projects off the ground, as well as donations from the public. So all of our needs here at COM can be found at comzoo.org. There are ways to donate, and there also is our COM wish list of other items that we need to keep going.
Oh, wish list. We need to check that out, definitely. And if they are in high school, how can they get involved?
Same thing, you go to comzoo.org. We have a list of opportunities for those 16 and up, as well as opportunities for those under 16 alongside a parent. So those are all clearly labeled for what you can participate in.
So it doesn't matter, high school or above. Come on out and help volunteer.
Out. Yes.
Megan, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
walking
for
us
being
around
here.
today. And again, if you want to help volunteer, please go to the COM website. And the website again is?
comzoo.org.
There you go. And that's it from COM today. Back to you, Mike, at the studio.
All right. Thanks for that, Marylou. comzoo.org. COM is open most of the time during the all year. Have you ever been to COM?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is one thing you remember about COM, or something that you liked?
Well, I went there, I think 2 Christmases ago, and the lights
Oh,
were
good. So you
really
were able to
cool.
go see the lights. Oh,
Yeah.
good. Well, you know what? Maybe you'll have an opportunity to go see the lights again. Did you learn a little something today? Especially with the decimals, right? So we kind of got you on track with that a little bit. It was pretty fun with all the different people in here today, too, huh? Pretty busy. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
All right, sweet. That's the way we like it. Hey, until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and Kern High School District. with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.